Hello everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the channel Hospital. It was an evening shift in the intensive care unit. The ICU has settled into the strange rhythm that happens after sunset. The minutes continued their steady beep. Nurses moved quickly from one patient to another, and doctors reviewed charts while preparing for another long night. Everything seemed routine. Then the ICU doors opened and a young man was brought in on a wheelchair. He looked to be around 21 years old. What immediately caught everyone's attention wasn't that he looked critically ill. It was the opposite. He was smiling. He was talking comfortably with his parents, making small jokes and trying to reassure his mother that everything would be fine. His father stood behind him with one hand resting in the wheelchair, silently watching every movement his son made. At first glance, nobody would have guessed that within a few days this young man's life would come to an end. As we started our assessment, we learned his story. Just 2 days earlier, he had noticed a mild aching pain in both feet. It didn't seem serious. He thought maybe he had worked too hard. He ignored it. But later, that same day, something strange happened. His toes didn't move the way they normally did. He tried wiggling them. They barely responded. By the next morning, the weakness had spread high into the boat's leg. Walking became difficult, standing became exhausting. Within another day, he needed help just to get around. That's when his family rushed him to the hospital. While talking to his parents, we also learned about his life. He was the only son in family with 4 sisters. His family wasn't wealthy. They belonged to a modest, hardworking household. He is a cab driver. Every day he worked long hours just to support his family, parents, and sisters. He wasn't making much money, but he never complained. According to his mother, he always came home smiling. He believed things would eventually get better. His father looked at us and said something I'll never forget. If I had to sell everything I own to save my son, I will. Just please make him better. Those words stayed with all of us. We immediately began a complete evaluation, blood work, neurological examinations, imaging studies, additional laboratory testing, everything pointing toward one diagnosis. Guillain-Barré syndrome, commonly known as GBS. GBS is a rare neurological disorder in which the body's immune system mistakenly attacks the protective covering of the peripheral nerves. When that protective covering is damaged, nerve signals cannot travel properly. The muscles slowly stop responding. In most patients, the weakness begins in the feet and legs before gradually moving upward toward the chest, arms, and eventually the muscles responsible for breathing. That's exactly what was happening to him. The frightening thing about GBS is how unpredictable it can be. Some patients recover completely, others require weeks or months for intensive care. Small members deteriorate very rapidly despite receiving appropriate treatment. There is no simple cure. Treatment focuses on slowing the immune attack and supporting the patients while the nerves recover. For him, we started one of the recommended therapies, plasma exchange, also known as plasmapheresis. The goal was to remove harmful antibodies from his bloodstream and give his nerves the best possible chance to recover. Everyone hoped we had started in time. The first night passed without major complications. He was still talking, still smiling, still asking when he would be able to go back to home. He joked with the nurses. He thanked everyone after every procedure. No one imagined how quickly everything would change. On the second day, we noticed the disease had progressed. The weakness had moved above his knees. He could no longer lift his legs. Simple treatment became impossible. He remained surprisingly calm. He smiled at his mother and told her not to cry. He said he would walk again soon. His father never left his bedside. His daily plasmapheresis treatments continued. Every member of the ICU hoped they would stop the progression. But GBS doesn't always follow the timeline we hope for. Sometimes it keeps moving despite everything we do. And sadly, that's exactly what happened. By the third day, the weakness had climbed even higher. His arms were beginning to lose strength. He struggled to hold a cup. Even adjusting himself in bed became difficult. We could see the fear beginning to appear in his eyes. He tried not to show it, but we noticed. On the fourth day, everything changed. The disease reached the muscles involving swallowing and speaking. He couldn't eat safely anymore. His speech became weak. Every word required enormous effort. Soon, even talking became almost impossible. His mother held his hand while tears rolled down her face. His father stood quietly beside the bed. Sometimes silence speaks louder than the words. By this time, everyone in the ICU knew his room. Doctors checked on him constantly. Nurses monitored him minute by minute. Respiratory therapists carefully measured his breathing. Because with GBS, the greatest danger isn't just paralysis, it's respiratory failure. When the muscles that control breathing become too weak, the patient can no longer breathe independently. On the fifth day, the moment arrived. His breathing became labored. His oxygen levels started dropping. His respiratory muscles were failing. The medical team acted immediately. After discussing the situation with his parents, we prepared for emergency intubation. Within few minutes, he was placed on mechanical ventilator. The room became quiet. The only sounds were ventilator, cardiac monitor, and infusion pumps. His parents stood outside the ICU, praying, waiting, and hoping. Even after intubation, we continued every possible treatment. The ICU team did everything modern medicine could offer. Every medication, every sportive measure, every careful adjustment. No one gave up. His family certainly did. His father came to every doctor with the same question. Is he getting better? Every day. The same question. And every day, we wished we had better answers. Despite all our efforts, his body continued to weaken. His nervous system had suffered severe damage. His organs became struggling under the stress of critical illness. His condition became increasingly unstable. Then, the moment every ICU team fears finally arrived, his heart rhythm changed. Alarms filled the room. Doctors and nurses rushed to the bedside. Resuscitations began immediately. Everyone worked together with one goal: save this young man's life. Minutes passed. Every possible intervention was performed. But sometimes medicine reached its limits. Despite every effort, we couldn't bring him back. He passed away only a few days after arriving at the hospital smiling. He was just 21 years old. Walking out to speak with his parents was one of the hardest moments of the week. No medical training ever makes those conversations easy. His mother collapsed in grief. His sister cried uncontrollably. His father, he didn't say anything for several seconds. He simply looked toward the ICU room, the room where his son had taken his last breath. The young man who worked every day to support his family. The brother who dreamed of giving his sisters a better future. The son whose smile had filled the ICU only days before. As healthcare workers, we care for many critical ill patients. Some recover, some don't. Over time, you learn to stay professional. But there are certain patients who never forget. He was one of them. Not because he had a rare disease, not because he was critically ill, but because of the way he faced everything. Even as his body slowly stopped responding, he kept smiling. He kept comfortably his parents instead of asking them to comfort him. The kind of courage stays with you. GBS remains one of the most unpredictable neurological emergencies. Many patients recover fully with timely treatment and supportive care. Others require prolonged rehabilitation. And sadly, some develop life-threatening complications despite receiving appropriate medical care. The story is a reminder that early recognition, rapid medical evaluation, and specialized intensive care are essential whenever progressive weakness begins in the leg and moves upward. Most importantly, behind every diagnosis is a person, a family, a dream, a future. For us, he will always be remembered as the young man who entered the ICU smiling, and those courage left a lasting mark on everyone who cared for him.